So let's talk about Tory Lanez right quick. This fella's in prison for a crime that it seems like he didn't do. And I mean, we know how many countless fellas have been put in prison for lies from a female. And sometimes the evidence comes out that there was a lie, and sometimes it doesn't, but it's not what you know, is what you can prove. Shout out to Alonzo on training day. But let's watch this Fox News story, and then they're going to go to the press conference, and we're just going to watch a little bit of it and kind of see if we can get an understanding of what's new, what's new that has developed in this case. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. Let's hit it.
All right, welcome back in here to Live and Now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Let's turn our attention to new developments involving Tory Lanez after a stabbing at a California prison. We do know the alleged attacker. More information here. This courtesy of TMZ, saying the guy who allegedly attacked and stabbed Tory Lanez in prison is serving a life sentence for a murder charge. And this wasn't his first violent incident behind bars. The alleged attacker was identified by authorities as 42-year-old Santino Casio. Prison officials say he's serving a life sentence for second-degree murder and was previously convicted for an in-prison assault with a deadly weapon.
Now, I'm not a veteran of the prison system, never have been, don't plan on being. I ain't built for that. I love my free world. I love being able to get up when I want to. Well, I got a job and stuff, but pay my bills, pay my taxes, get up, go to work, make all the choices that I make are done freely to the best of my ability. But from what stories I've heard, that different races and different gangs don't interact with each other much. So if somebody on the outside of your circle or clique attack or assault you, a lot of times it's because somebody sent them. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I don't know nothing about that. Don't want to know. I mean, if I'm stepping over my boundaries and shouldn't be asking questions, please let me know. And I won't ask a question ever again. Because like I said, I ain't trying to be a part of that system. I love it out here. I can do what I want to who I want to, when I want to, and how I want to. Hey, that's all I want to know.
We're following the latest here on Live Now from Fox, and we're also learning more information about new evidence being brought forward in this case involving Tory Lanez. We watched it here on Thursday or on Wednesday as the legal team sought justice in the case of Tory Lanez. They presented new evidence that suggests he never fired the weapon the night Megan Thee Stallion was shot in the Hollywood Hills. Lanez is currently serving a 10-year sentence for the shooting. The legal team alleges she lied about what happened the night she was lost. So let's take you right now out to some of these details here on Live Now from Fox from Los Angeles earlier on today about this new evidence being presented. We'll see if it has any legs in the courts. Let's listen into this here on Live Now.
Here, some really, really compelling new evidence that you've never heard before. Our legal team will explain all of that to you. We will have updates on Tory Lanez, Mr. Peterson, on how he's doing. It's really sad to see the situation that he's in. And we think it's time, enough is enough. It's time to bring the brother home. So with that, I would like to bring up our lead consultant, Mr. Walter Roberts.
Good morning. We are here today to bring to your attention some information Unite the People believes is exculpatory in Mr. Daystar Peterson's case, professionally known as Tory Lanez.
Now, I know some of us, we remember seeing the video where you saw Megan get out the SUV and she's kind of walking. I don't know. The video was kind of grainy and not too clear, but she's look like she's kind of stumbling while she's walking. And then they said she got shot in the foot. Then they said it wasn't really like a straight bullet, it was like some shrapnel, or maybe like the bullets bounced off the ground and something hit her foot, and whatever the case may be. And then she was in the hospital room twerking or doing a show, and like 10 minutes later. And then she went on, was it Gail King? That interviewed her and asked her, did she have a relationship with Tory Lanez? And she was like, huh? Acting like she didn't. Don't sit there and lied and say she didn't have a relationship with him. Then came out later and said, yeah, I did. He said, but why would she ask me that question? Well, hell, it all matters. All of them matter. Every detail, everything you do in life matters in your life, no matter what you think. It may be way out to left field, but people know how to bring it all together to where they can make it count.
Recently, we've been made aware that a member of the media, Mr. Gianno Caldwell, was working on an op-ed for the New York Post regarding Mr. Peterson's innocence. During his work on that op-ed, he became aware of some information in Unite the People's possession regarding a statement that was given to Unite the People by someone with information relevant to that case. The New York Post recently reached out to the prior district attorney, George Gascon, Megan Pete and her representatives, and Kelsey Harris and her representatives. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell.
Coincidence? I don't believe in coincidence.
Unite the People represents Daystar Peterson in his appellate process. We filed an appellate brief and a writ of habeas corpus on his behalf. The district attorney's office has already responded. The case is fully briefed. We're just waiting for the appellate court's decision. We were willing to wait for the appellate process to play out. But given that brutal, unprovoked attack, we felt it necessary to come here today to provide you with this information. It is our intention to make a request to the governor to either pardon or commute the sentence of Mr. Peterson, so that when he recovers from this attack, he's not returned to a jail cell, but that he's allowed to go home and recover. Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times.
I hope this case brings to light or teaches us, especially like the youth in our community, a lesson about this whole not snitch culture. Tory Lanez is in prison. Got stabbed up, from what we're about to hear and what we've heard since the beginning of this whole ordeal. He got stabbed up in prison and pretty much probably fighting for his life. 'Cause 13 times is a lot of times to get, to get shanked. He's going through this because of a whole no snitch culture. Because from what I gather, from what I've heard, what I've read, this brother did not want. All he said is that he didn't do it. Everyone else was quick to say it was him. He said he didn't do it. He was like, the evidence to show that I didn't do it. But if ain't nobody on your side and fighting for you and vouching for you, it doesn't matter what you know or what you say. Whatever they say is going to go, and it's going to get you caught up, and you end up in the situation that you're in. And so he's hoping, like most of us young dummies, that somebody else is going to say something when in fact, dude, it should be you saying something. It should be like, I mean, you should be quick. Tory Lanez should have been quick. He ain't had no loyalty to these females. He didn't have no loyalty to him. I mean, think about it. Both of them, he was knocking them both down at the same time. From the way the story goes, Megan Thee Stallion's friend, her and Tory had a relationship first, and then here come Megan trying to slide on in and get her some too. That's all I was saying about the difference between men and women and how men love harder than women. No matter, I don't give a damn what you say, because a dude ain't. I don't know too many. I ain't saying ain't no dudes would do it. Some will. I get it, but you hear more and more often how females be knowing that they dating the same guy, knowing that the same guy clapping their cakes, knowing that they ain't using protection, this, that, and knowing he got other women out there. But they don't care. They just want theirs, get theirs in, and it's like a competition between them. But they want to tell us that we not man enough to do this and man enough to do that. Hell, you're not a woman enough to say, hey, I'm going after your dude and I'm gonna get him, may the best woman win. Let's continue.
In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired.
But he had, like I say, he had no loyalty to now one of them. So he should have just said, look, I didn't do it. Let me tell you exactly what happened. But we don't want to talk to the police. We got PTSD when it comes to the police, all this kind of stuff. But a lot of times think about it, in our cases, in our situations, why are the police around us in the first place? Because of something we did that brought them to your neighborhood. I'm just saying.
This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw two women fighting, two men break up the fight, one man grabbed the other one's arm, gunshots came from the passenger side. Passenger side is where Miss Harris was sitting. This further iterates that Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete.
And then what's crazy is, that this woman done allowed Tory Lanez to clap her cakes while y'all supposed to be in a relationship. But then but then on the other hand, Megan that her and this girl was getting into an altercation. And I think it was over him for the most part. They fighting each other over a dude. One put out a gun to shoot her over a dude, but then they stayed on code against that dude. Gonna be like, he ain't no good. He a dog. This and the third. Girls, we need to stick together. Who does that? What? I'm sorry. I think logically, and I can't wrap my head around an illogical behavior or thought process. So maybe y'all can help me understand.
It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense? Why wasn't the driver of the car, Mr. Jaquan Smith's DNA taken? Or was it taken and again, simply not given to the defense? We don't know. It should have been taken. It is Unite the People's understanding, regular LAPD practice at a crime scene like that. Anybody who's there, the DNA is taken. Another irregularity. Why, at Miss Harris's police interview, was a non-lawyer, non-family member, record company executive allowed to participate? Highly irregular situation. Normally, we see cases, strangers are not allowed in these things, but it was in this case.
And we all know, if you look at the screen, you see in the bottom corner where it say day 3 of Diddy trial wraps up in NYC. We've heard allegations that things have happened in LA. Cars have been blown up. people have been deleted and deceased in LA, you know what I'm saying, around this guy here, Diddy and his circle, and things have been swept under the rug by the police and others in positions of power. So we can't really and what do they call Holly weird, right? It's a lot of things that go on out there in the entertainment industry that we don't know nothing about. And I think in all honesty, we don't want to know too much about. But let's continue.
All of these things point to the highly irregular nature of his trial and his conviction. It is our contention that he was wrongly convicted. And while we at first were willing to let the process play out, it is our contention now that if he is not pardoned or released promptly, he may never come out. And that would be the ultimate injustice, is that he gets killed in prison for something he did not do. At this time, I'd like to bring up Mr. Gianno Caldwell, the media member who was working on that op-ed for the New York Post. Thank you.
And that is true. That would be very sad if the due process wasn't completed, in the way it should have been. And this young brother does lose his life in prison over women lying and staying on code with each other. Let's listen to what this guy got to say.
Thank you, Walter. Good morning. Thank you for coming today. My name is Gianno Caldwell. That is spelled Gianno Caldwell, Caldwell. I am the founder of the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety at caldwellinstitute.org. I am also a member of the press for almost a decade now. I've been looking into Daystar Peterson's case for almost 6 months now, professionally known as Tory Lanez. And after reviewing the evidence, the reporting, and the legal analysis, I've come to the conclusion that Tory Lanez was railroaded by the former district attorney, George Gascon. He was also wrongly convicted. I believe if Jesus Christ was Tory Lanez's attorney, George Gascon would do whatever in his power to ensure that Tory Lanez lost that case. Tory Lanez's defense team have alleged the withholding of exculpatory evidence, prosecutorial misconduct, among other issues that I was compelled to write an opinion piece for the New York Post. It is true that last week, the New York Post editors reached out to 3 parties, one being George Gascon, Megan Pete's team, and Kelsey Harris. It is also true that Megan's team was the only ones that responded back for that request.
Yeah, they probably say, what do you know about this? Give me more details. And he probably gave them details. And they probably say, Tory got to go. We need to talk to somebody who knows somebody in this prison. That boy got to go because no, we can't have this. Because if the truth comes out, oh my gosh, he might go hop the ladder. Kind of like the P. Diddy case. That's one thing a lot of people they said they was afraid of is that if he goes to trial, there's going to be a lot of things that comes out that will expose a lot of people in the entertainment business with some things they have done to people. And they're afraid of that. Just like the Epstein case. I mean, this little list still hasn't came out yet. How a school teacher ended up with having tens of millions of dollars in a freaking island. None of that stuff has came out, but people just, they figure out if we don't talk what they say, close your eyes, disappear. If you don't talk about it, it'll go away. It's a little harder nowadays because of the internet and things are put out there to the world and it doesn't go away.
I had some glaring
So
questions.
instead of saying, whatever happened to, remember when John F. Kennedy got killed in Dallas? Whatever happened there? I don't know. Ain't heard nothing from him. But now it's like, hey, whatever happened to John F. Kennedy? What happened to that John F. Kennedy case? Hey, let's look it up and see. It's totally different. It's totally different now.
And that was the reason for this op-ed. Things didn't make any sense to me, many issues in this case. And I was shocked by the lack of interest from the media to ask very simple questions. There were multiple people with gunshot residue on their hands that night. Why didn't all individuals have the residue tested, their DNA tested on the weapon? That's a legitimate question. According to the prosecution, Tory was excluded from the clip of the gun. And according to Tory's defense team, they said DNA analysis showed that there was a 0.01% chance that Tory touched the actual gun itself. Another piece that stood out to me, the call that
It sounds
the
like
prosecution
Tupac case. Remember that girl said Tupac essayed her? And the evidence showed that he had nothing to do with it, but he got found guilty anyway because he was responsible. Like, what kind of crap is that? I couldn't understand that at all. So he didn't touch the gun, but he's like Charles Manson. He's responsible for what happened. Is that what they trying to say? I'm gonna need to look at the court transcripts because I must have missed something.
alleged Tory made confessing to a crime. I listened to that call. I'm sure many of you have as well. I didn't hear a confession. But what really shocked me about it is if my best friend was shot maliciously by someone just 2 or 3 hours before, I wouldn't have answered the call, or if I did, I wouldn't calmly have a conversation with the individual of it. And certainly I would ask, why did you shoot my friend? And more importantly, I would never have given you my current location out of fear of you finishing the job. That was something that stood out to me.
Because a lot of women don't think logically. Continue.
I also, in my op-ed, discussed Kelsey Harris pleading the Fifth Amendment. She wasn't accused of anything by Megan Pete or the police, and to my knowledge, she wasn't under any investigation. So why plead the Fifth? What also shocked me is the prosecution gave her immunity. For what? What did she do? Is there an allegation of her doing something? I'm not aware of that. Maybe some of you can answer that question today. During the time of trial, George Gascon, just to take you back to where we were at that particular point, he had just barely won a recall attempt. He lost support in many key demographics of voters. Crime was up in Los Angeles County. And this case would have been a silver bullet for him potentially winning. His policies obviously were bad and people were harmed. So that didn't happen, and thank God it didn't happen. At the heart of this injustice is the misuse of gun enhancement charges, a sentencing tool intended for the most dangerous and violent offenders. In Tory Lanez's case, these enhancements were not supported by evidence. But George Gascon, interestingly enough, who is someone who regularly would drop enhancements or not recommend them, chose to provide enhancements to Tory. And in his case, in any given situation, according to legal analysts I've spoken with, he would do 1 or 3 years if he did it without the enhancement. That's interesting. Why did George Gascon choose to pursue these enhancements? You know, there's cases I've been looking through which George Gascon has pursued, many in which he utilized these enhancements. A couple come to mind that I would like to reference here. One, Raymond Danger Gonzalez, a Mexican mafia gang member involved in a premeditated murder of 2 young men in 2017. Despite the brutality of the crime, Gascon didn't recommend enhancements. You premeditated murdered a teenager and another individual, brutal crime. Why would you recommend enhancements, but you would recommend them for Tory? That doesn't make a lot of sense. He also didn't pursue sentencing enhancements for the senseless murder of General Hospital actor Johnny Victor in Los Angeles in 2024. There's a lot of issues with this case. Many, I think, that the media should be pursuing all angles of it. We should not allow there to be unanswered questions. We should pursue open questions without fear or favor to anyone. That includes Mr. Tory Lanez. In his letter from the Birmingham jail, Dr. Martin Luther King wrote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. If we take those words seriously, we must act when injustice is allowed to fester in plain sight." I founded the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety after my innocent teenage brother was murdered in Chicago on June 24, 2022. I stand firmly for public safety, for victims' rights and for holding criminals accountable. But justice also demands that we protect the innocent and stand against politically motivated prosecutions. This is what I believe to happen here. When we imprison the innocent while violent offenders walk free, which is what George Gascon has often done, we undermine the very foundation of our legal system. Mr. Peterson was never given a fair trial, free from bias, political interference, and media-driven pressure. His continued incarceration erodes public trust and diverts focus from the real work of keeping our community safe. Further, while incarcerated, Mr. Peterson was recently stabbed in prison, as many of you know, a tragic incident that underscores the urgency of this situation and the risk to his life while this case remains unaddressed. Governor Newsom, I respectfully urge you to issue a pardon for Daystar Peterson, known as Tory Lanez, in a full and impartial review of his case. California must not be a state where justice is driven by headlines instead of evidence. And in the case of George Gascon, that was often the case. So I encourage everyone here to go to caldwellinstitute.org, CALDWELL, Institute, INSTITUTE.org, and sign the petition. This petition asks for the governor to pardon Tory Lanez. Thank you.
I'm gonna put that and this link in the description box because I think that's a serious matter. Now, people might say, "Oh, he's famous. Why do I care about him?" Well, man, look, you got to start somewhere, and that's why I think a lot of people get misunderstood. Just because it's not you doesn't mean it can't affect you one day. Because who knows? You may be caught up in a situation where you're innocent and guilt surrounds you, and you just, you can easily prove that you didn't do it, but you're just too dumb to sit there and tell on somebody because you're still part of that no snitch culture. It is what it is. But if like this here, like what's the guy, Carmelo Anthony, young brother down here in Texas, when you donate to him, you got people who was like, why you donating to him? He's a, he deleted this guy, he's a stone cold killer. We don't know what the heck happened. In any case, we don't know what happened. In any case, we don't care what the outcome might have been. There's always a reason why that happened. And all we're going by now is hearsay, what people think happened and what people believe happened. We ain't really heard. We heard some people say, hey, somebody was there. This is what they said. We don't even know if that's true. But in the meantime, the young brother needs a lawyer like anybody else. The young brother needs legal counsel, good legal counsel, so he can get a fair and unbiased trial somewhere to the best of it, to the best of his ability. Why not help him? Because everybody else uh might get the, well, let's say the mother folk might get the same treatment, right? Like the guy that shot Trayvon Martin, right? He got they raised money for him and was and he got, they raised money for him for his defense, and he got off. Kyle Rittenhouse, same thing. Raised a bunch of money for his defense. He got a good lawyer, he got off. The guy that choked out Brother Neely in the subway, New York subway, got raised hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars for his defense. He got off. So why not? So why not Carmelo Anthony? And why not Tory Lanez? Again, we can't complain about how we are so-called being treated, how the system works. But then when we have the opportunity to make a stand, a real stand, not standing up yelling and protesting that it's not going to get anything done, but when we can make a real stance, because you got to have politics. You got to use your money and got to use, people say they vote with their dollar, right? So, okay, you vote with your dollar. You can vote with your voice. You vote with at the ballot. You do all that. But you don't just sit back and complain about something and don't do anything and expect it to change. Can't say, well, if they can't do it, then how can I do it? Man, there are a lot of laws that are in place in the city or town that you live in. A lot of them were brought to the attention of the lawmakers by just simple citizens, common everyday citizens had an issue, wanted laws changed. They got enough people behind them to make it happen, and it happened. So again, you have no excuse now. The internet, social media. He gave a website. What's it? CaldwellInstitute.org. He gave a website to where you can sign a petition. People have GoFundMe, Give, Send, Go pages. Like even locally, you can go to city council meetings. You can go to school board meetings. Get your tail up and do something. See what there is. If you can't do nothing right then and there, you can see what's going on and be like, oh, this ain't right. Let me tell the world, the rest of the people who are just too lazy to do anything but got something to say but ain't gonna do nothing about it. You can make a difference. You just gotta get out there and do it. Whether you fail or pass, regardless, get out there and do it. I mean, something as simple as I put a post up about a garden I made. Now I've been trying to make gardens. I think I made gardens 3 times in the last 5 or 6 years. I think one I did right before COVID or right around COVID, and then did another one last year, and then did another one, doing another one this year. And I put out a post saying, "Hey, people talk about the food, talk about how bad the food is and what they putting into it, and complain about it, and that we need to grow our own vegetables and crops." Well, doggone it, are you talking about it or are you doing it? Now you might say, I ain't got a yard to do it in. Man, they got community gardens. Or create you a community garden. Go down to your city council, go down to your city hall, go to a council meeting and say, hey, can we start a community garden? If you live in an apartment complex, go talk to your landlord, your building manager, and say, hey, can we start a community garden out here in this little vacant lot or somewhere out here? Or is it okay that, can I put these flyers out in the mailbox and see if other tenants would like to start growing little stuff, something small like little herbs or avocados or lemon trees or something like that in their house, and we can all use that to feed each other. Shoot, you ain't got to sit there and have $1 million and have 1,000-acre ranch just so you can grow crops. Because hell, you probably ain't gonna do nothing with it anyway because you ain't doing nothing with what you got. I mean, serious. I don't want all out, but I'm sorry. Anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below. Share it with the world. Let's have an intelligent conversation. You know how we do around here. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Those 4 things cost you maybe a couple of minutes out your day, but it means the world to us here at this channel. Now, if you would like to support us financially, you can always give super thanks, super chat, super stickers, or you can go to the description box and there are links there like Zelle, PayPal, Cash Out, there where you can support us that way. Now, if you would like something tangible for your dollars, which a lot of people do, hey, you can go to marlonmorale.com. You hit our Shopify store, both links in the description box also, or you can just simply hit that shop button below and check out all our luxury products. We got fragrances that last for days for men and women. We got silk products, handbags, beard products, much more. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. And with that being said, I leave you in peace, and I'll see you on the other side.